Alright, Marvel Rivals players, so let's go over what is my tier list for specifically the most recent update on Season 2.5, obviously with the addition of Ultron. So, we recently did make a video that went over the best hero tier list for Season 2.5. However, this one is not going to take into consideration the Rivals meta tier list, which essentially goes by the win rate. So, this one is going to be more subjective than objective, because if we look at like what's winning in the game when we see win rates, the numbers actually differ from what people consider meta, right? Like a lot of people will consider Luna Snow to be an absolute S tier character, but if we go by the raw stats via, win rate, she actually has towards the bottom of the barrel. But I think in reality, people know Luna Snow is one of the best characters in the game.
Bye, Mom. I'm going to the Spider-Man party.
No, you are not, young lady. You are going to sit and watch Slaydra throw ranked Marvel rival games.
And what actually causes this is when people start to lose when they're playing like, maybe only one tank, or maybe they only have one support where people are throwing. Well, they actually swap the characters and then they still lose the game. That's why it's always not the best to look at win rates because, well, Penny Parker is sitting at the absolute S tier as the best character in the entire game. But a lot of people would not consider Penny Parker to be the best character. So that's why sometimes going over a tier list is not really good to go over the objective raw stats. So we're going to actually do it a little bit differently. And the reason why is because, well, you got to go by what actually happens in the game. So, alright, starting off with the F tier. So these characters, majority of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, if you do not do well within the first few minutes, people are going to absolutely ask you to swap. The number one worst character, in my personal opinion, is Jeff the Landshark. He got absolutely destroyed because, well, the character can't really play flank anymore, but the main reason why I really don't like this character is because it does not have a defensive ult, which is the biggest problem in the game. Because when they pop their ults, if the Jeff doesn't eat all of them, it's going to be GG's. So, this character over here, he absolutely got destroyed by the most recent patch. Next up, I'm going to talk about Squirrel Girl briefly. So Squirrel Girl has this problem where Squirrel Girl will feed the other enemy ultimate charge super fast, and the ultimate is pretty lackluster, let's be honest. However, there are good players. That's why I put 90% right there. For 90% of the player base, these characters are just not going to be good. Ultron is in another category. A lot of people are actually learning the character, but the main problem that I have with this character is the same problem that Jeff the Landshark has, which is, well, when they pop ultimates, this character just feels very lackluster. He does have the ability to secure limbs, and he actually has a pretty high win rate, despite that a lot of people are still kind of learning them. Most of the time, if you do not pop off, you're kind of forcing people to play 3 support as well, most of the time when you lock in Ultron. And especially if you look at the higher levels of gameplay, would you rather have a good Ultron or a third DPS? A lot of times at the higher rank, it's much more valuable to have that. Next up, Scarlet Witch. Well, she's just really never getting the ult off. While it is a pretty decent ult if it works, again, in real games, it almost never gets to work because, well, it's like an ultimate where it farms the noob players. Next up, Moon Knight is in the same category as Squirrel Girl. Basically, you are just turbocharging the support ults, which we all know support ults are the most OP thing in the game, which actually leads to the game feeling not fun because, well, they have immortality. Next up, I want to talk about Adam Warlock. It's kind of the same story as like a defensive ult, even though this one technically has a defensive ult to revive. If you revive the whole team in a really small area against good players, what happens? Well, they just go ahead and just rush you and destroy you. A lot of times, Adam just doesn't have the ability to get that ult off, which is another really big problem in the game. Another thing that I want to mention, which is the last character in this like F tier, which is a throw 90% of the time, is going to be Thor. And the reason why, well, Thor simply got destroyed on the most recent update. He lost damage on his animation cancel for the right click, which is actually how I played him. But then you also lose 25% of the shields that you used to gain, which used to be 100, but now you only get 75. The character has been destroyed. Have not really been seeing that many good Thor players. The only time I actually start playing Thor still now is if they happen to have 3 support, because you can still kind of rush him down, but he's so much worse, and now I consider him kind of a throw pick, to be honest. Alright, so that's it for the F tier. Let's move into the D tier, which I consider characters to be either super good or bad, and I consider a skill issue, as in like these characters can be either really bad or good depending on the player, and I'm sure a lot of you guys totally understand this. Specifically, it's the characters that are in the first section, which is Black Panther, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Magic, and Iron Fist and Black Widow. These characters, what is it like? So these 5 characters, in general, they kind of have the same problem. If the player isn't super good at popping off with them, they're usually like, 2 and 10 by the end of the game. That's kind of like the skill issue in the game with certain characters. Like, at the lower ranks, you never really want to have a Black Widow. But at the high ranks, if someone locks in Black Widow, it's not really even a problem. People aren't like, yo, are you sure you want to play Black Widow? It's like, people are going to be good. But these characters can be technically be countered by other people. But if the player is good enough, I think that their skill can definitely shine through. Storm is kind of also here. If you are in the higher ranks, honestly, Hela runs the lobbies still, and it's weird that that character got a buff instead of like nerfs. It's crazy, but yeah, good Helas I feel like can destroy a lot of these characters. And in the higher ranks of the game, if Storm pops ult, you can pop Punisher ult, you can pop Iron Man ult. The character can get focused pretty hard. If you do, let's say, pop a Luna ult, pop Jeff Landshark ult, pop Storm ult, yes, I get it, it's OP, but you're using 3 ults at that point. But all these characters in general, they can be kind of good. If we look at characters like Mantis, if the player is skilled, definitely could be good. If Captain America, or let's say we have the Mr. Fantastic, they could get a lot of value by being a good distraction for the enemy team. Also with Hulk, if you're able to combo with, let's say, Namor, I feel like Hulk is still a pretty decent character if you happen to combo with it. But there's a lot of times where Hulk is kind of a skill issue with the Thing. The Thing also is in this category, by the way, I just didn't have enough room. But the Thing is also in this category where Hulk and the Thing, as long as they don't just jump in and turbo feed, they're actually not bad. But it's always a consistent thing where, like, you know how if you play the game, your Hulk is turbo feeding, but the enemy, like Hulk or the Thing, they're doing much, much better. This is a very consistent thing that you will see. I don't know why, but it's like I always get the bad Hulk players while they always get the good ones. It's just like they'll turbo feed, and that's a problem with these 2 characters. So it is kind of a skill issue. All right, next up, moving into what I'm going to put at the B tier. So these are characters that are like pretty solid overall in most situations. But we're going to be looking at these characters that can kind of perform or maybe have a certain matchup, right? They are matchup dependent here. So like certain things like Dive can still be technically played, but if they're playing like a flyer comp, obviously Venom gets less value, but I still think that these characters are pretty good. Starlord absolute face rolls. If you are playing against Ultron, Ultron pops out, you just pop Starlord, you delete him, and then you just delete the rest of the, team, as long as they don't have another support ult. But at that point, you're getting a 2-for-1, so that gives you pretty good value. I think Bucky, while he does have the ability to like eliminate someone before they even pop ults, because if he just pops his ult real fast and gets a kill on it, well, you can't really react to it, right? So I still feel like he has some play, but he's definitely been a lot more nerfed, so to speak, when he lost his, like, it used to be 15% of the HP, now it's 10%. I feel like the character isn't nearly as super OP S tier like he used to be, since, there's also, like, flyers, but I actually feel like he's pretty decent against flyers. If you land his, like, E, it's pretty good. You can still secure a decent amount of kills with it. Next up, Cloak and Dagger over here. This character is still pretty good in terms of healing numerical output, and I still think the ult's good, but as you climb up, I mean, she gets focused pretty hard, but that doesn't mean that you can't, like, bubble or kind of wall off, and there's certain characters in the S tier category that really make Cloak so much stronger. Psylocke got nerfed, but I still think the character's good. It still has a good Emma team up. I still think the character is pretty solid to trade out with some support ults, as the character can still kind of get away. Penny Parker, as much as I like this character, and if we just go by stats, right, she's absolutely S tier, but in terms of, like, first point defense, I still think Penny Parker's pretty good with the brand new Rocket team up. Very, very good character indeed. I also put Namor here specifically to counter any of the flankers. I think the character is still okay. And then also over here, I wanted to put the Human Torch. The Human Torch is still an okay character in the game. It just requires you to get a little bit closer, and he did get some nerfs. He was banned almost every single time. I still think the character is okay. It's still playable. I'm not, like, super upset if someone locks it in, but I still feel like the main problem with this character is, like, the ultimate. Even though it has to team up with, like, Storm before, I still think that this character is a little bit lackluster when it comes to the ultimate department, forcing support ults, but it's still a character where the kit is good enough where if you are a skilled player, but I didn't want to put it in, like, the skill issue, like D or A tier. He's definitely more consistent than some of the other characters, let's say, like Spider-Man or Wolverine, but the thing is that if you're good with the character, I still think that you can get good value. It's just, again, the main reason why I don't like the character in particular is the ult. But going back to Namor over here, which I put also in B tier, if you happen to have Hulk, this character is really, really powerful. Like, I don't really feel like it matters too much about what the enemy comp is playing, even if they're not playing flankers. He could flank on his own, and especially with the Hulk team up, you can get 2 support out really, really fast. I like this character overall. Next up, moving into the A tier. So as far as A tier goes, I feel like these characters are definitely a little bit above other characters. So Iron Man in particular is really strong to deal with support ults. That's one thing that's a very common thing with some of the characters that are just better in the game, is that if you can burst through a support ult, it is so massive. You get such a huge edge on the game. So that's why I consider Iron Man to be absolute S tier. Punisher got a bunch of buffs, specifically just extra ammo, extra damage, and then his ult's even better. You can burst through the support ult, it's a little bit difficult, but if you combine him with any other like damage support, he's so incredibly good. And also, I feel like the turret gets crazy good value, especially if they're not playing like double shield. This character can absolutely shred content. I've been uploading a lot of Punisher gameplay. Fantastic character, absolute A tier. Rocket's always been one of my favorite things to have as a support, because you get very consistent heals because, well, they shouldn't really be doing damage. The revive is still a solid pick overall. And then Invis Woman, overall, really great character. Never really something that got nerfed. The shield is so good. You're able to push and pull. I like this character a lot. It's got a good ult. There's nothing really bad about Invis Woman, except for like when you have to heal yourself. It kind of sucks sometimes, but obviously that's kind of the downside with the character. All right, next up over here. So this is the S tiers. Some of the top tier characters. Hell has always been here. And then Luna Snow also has been one of the best supports in the game. Like, these characters have always been pretty much meta. There's a small time where Hela didn't see as much play. It's weird how much, even at the higher ranks of the game, because I've climbed 2 different accounts to the top 1%, and I'm telling you, people do not ban these 2 characters very often. They usually ban what is in like the super S tier, which we'll talk about. But in the just regular S tier, I think these 2 are the 2 best characters in the entire game. And they've been the best 2 characters in the game for a while, for sure. But I feel like Magneto and Doctor Strange here, these are 2 really good tanks still. Even with the nerfs, Doctor Strange's ult in the tank category gets more team wipes than really any of the other characters. Plus, the portal usage is just so good to even swap to just to contest. He's definitely an S tier character when you look at just swapping to touch the point. That alone is just super, super powerful. Plus, it's got a good ult. You can burst through the support ults if you time it right with other things. I think this character is still really good. Magneto is actually the best tank in the game if you're like the best player. The reason why is you stop a lot of support ults. It's one of the few things that can stop a support ult, delete another like DPS ult. It's just so incredibly powerful. Groot gets banned every single game because, well, yeah, getting walled up does suck. Emma is still really powerful, even with the new nerfs. I still think that she's actually a very good character, and she got a buff with the range, and the range actually helps out quite a bit because it lets you keep your 100% charge, which is good. Another character I have in the S tier, I just didn't have room here, is also Loki. Loki builds up ult super, super fast. The ability to outplay people is very good, but it's mainly that you can build up ult super quick, and on top of that, you can also support Luna. Now, the downside with Loki is if they happen to have flyers, the character loses out a ton of value, because on your team, well, realistically, you're probably not healing them. And then on top of that, if the enemy team has it. So I want to say Loki is almost dependent on what the comp is, but the character is still overall a pretty solid pick. If you do get countered by flyers, then obviously we have to bump him down. But I still think the character's ult builds way crazy fast. And because you can copy anything, and then you can also make a lot of people survive. He's a skilled character for sure. I kind of wanted to honestly put him in the D or A tier, which is like throw or like really good. In a sense, right? Where it's not like always a throw. I usually hate having Lokis in lower ranks, but at the high ranks, Loki's one of the best characters. But speaking of best characters, let's go over the absolute mega S tier, the broken character of the season that gets banned pretty much 100% of the time is Hawkeye, and that is because there's a new team up with Luna that allows him to basically freeze people through walls. The freeze through walls absolutely makes this character so incredibly powerful, and that is because like you can't really outplay it. And it's not just because of Hawkeye himself. There's a combo that you can do where Hawkeye freezes people, and then you have a Black Panther, Spider-Man, Venom. Like, they can line up that auto really fast. It's specifically with Venom, actually, surprisingly, because Venom's going to be diving there anyways. Something gets frozen, Venom just goes ahead, holds left click, 2 taps them. It's so good how amazing that combo works. I don't know if any of you guys have seen like the Black Panther plays, look it up. People upload this on TikTok and stuff where they're just showing clips of people freezing. It's one of the most broken and frustrating things to play against because it freezes you through pretty much everything. Like, it goes through the entire like level. It is actually pretty busted. Now, I get it, at lower ranks of the game, people may not care about this, but at the high ranks, I'm telling you, this is one of the most frustrating things to deal with if he does not get banned, because like, you can be the best support player. If someone gets one tap, like, you can't out heal it unless of course you're Loki, you throw the runes down. For the most part, I feel like it feels really broken to be on the receiving end of the Hawkeye. But that's my tier list, guys. You guys can let me know what you think of it. Would you guys change anything? Definitely let me know down below, but this is, again, more so subjective. If you guys want to see the objective tier list, which we just made a video on, feel free to go ahead and check that one out, as that one does show off basically via the win rate, because, you know, obviously any tier list is going to be subjective, but if we look at it objectively, yeah, I would not put Penny Parker in like the super S tier, unless it's like first point defense. If she, you know, doesn't pop off, then you just swap characters. That's why she has like this crazy win rate, is because the people that stay on Penny, you get more and more value, but if you fail like the first point of defense, a lot of people just simply swap off the character. This is the same thing with Torb and Symmetra in like Overwatch. Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're brand new here and you do want to see more stuff, subscribe, turn the bell, and you'll definitely see more. But take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.